And how are we doing? Welcome to our Wednesday night locals for Riftbound. I'm Teddy Panda, a level 1 judge in the area, usually known as the Skirmish Smurf, as some people like to say. I'm here with Soap. Soap, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. For those of you who haven't or aren't very familiar with me, my name's Soap. I'm an ex-CEDH player from Lockdown. I left CEDH because it just wasn't the vibe anymore, but as a person who played League of Legends collegiately, I did get hooked on this new card game that I've heard is pretty popular.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I went to my first pre-Rift for Vendetta.
There you go. What was your Rift kit?
So I ended up getting Jace, which was completely unplayable because I got no gear in any of the packs.
Well, was your rulings where you could use any champion as any unit as your champion in your domains, or were you guys still using champions?
We could use any.
Okay.
So I ended up playing, I got Yellow Ambessa, and I ended up going 2-1. I played Yellow Ambessa because she has the Empower, and then you swing and you just kill a dude.
Right.
And that was super strong, especially in like a limited environment where you're just able to, like, I just sat it in the back row and like waited for kind of that checkmate moment where I just moved the Ambessa and I'm like, oh, pop your dude.
Yeah, if you put in a Kali, Yellow Ambessa was really strong and limited. But what I was asking, because in the rule sets of this limited, it says that you can use any unit as your champion from your domain. So like with Jace, you can use the Porobot. So you'll have going second, cool, I play Porobot, activate Jace, Porobot automatically scores.
Yeah, I don't think the shop I was at was as up to date on the rules as our level 1 judge here. Because I definitely would have probably played. Oh.
That's wrong. It's supposed to be any champion of your domain, and then because it's also stating that you have to have exactly 25 cards, or it's a minimum of 25, and you can have 40 if you really wanted to. So it was just some of the word templating, I think, was before the game was kind of actually released, or maybe they just forgot some of the wording that should have been there.
Yeah, okay.
There was a lot of weird stuff happening this pre-Rift. Like, I saw...
Hey, I thought it was fun. I got the new treatments look really pretty. I pulled the set. Which
yeah, no, these foils.
Yeah, dude, the person who was sitting next to me at the pre-Rift pulled the Altar Mel, and then they also pulled a Rebuttal, and then in their prize support they got 2 more rebuttals, and so
all in one night,
dude, it was crazy. So what did I do? I proposed a trade. So I walked out with Mel and some rebuttals, and they got the set. And given the current prices, I think I'm up, because pre-Rift set was at like 110, 120.
Oh, yeah.
And that
anything.
Yeah, I was like, well, and I mean, in his defense, the pre-Rift rebuttals were like $20 a piece, and the pre-Rift Mel was like 40. Mm-hmm. And so it was even. We both knew the cards were going to come down. And he was like, had already been playing the set deck. So it was like, it was good for him, good for me. It felt good as a new player to like go in, spend your $35 on pre-Rift, come out with a like playable deck for the most part. I mean, at least the core, right? 3 Sig spells and a champ. And actually, that's kind of one of the big highlights of Riftbound that I've found, is that for a new card game, it is incredibly affordable to build a meta deck, and that's something that I'm just not used to coming from Magic, right? Like, I'm used to like building, like if I wanted to play Modern, because I played a lot of Modern back in the day, you're starting your deck building process with minimum like 12 fetch lands, and so you're looking at like $250 minimum mana base, and so the idea that like I can spend $100 and walk out with like a meta deck for the most part. I mean, maybe you're trimming and playing some like not best in slots, but even then, something that I think is great about Riftbound is that right now you can be playing those cards that aren't in the best in slots because people are still figuring out the meta because the game is so new.
100%. And like, even the same legend can have multiple variants of that deck, so where you're not even playing the most expensive. Like, one Kennen deck could be playing an $80 Last Rites, and another Kennen deck can be playing... Its entire deck is $80 for that Last Rites. Okay. That's the craziest part. Here we have Nasus and Diana. This is actually a very popular matchup that we've been seeing online on YouTube. Nasus is a very slow, methodical deck that looks to ramp early, kind of be on an odd scoring point, because the green Nasus Empowered gets you from that 5 to 6, 6 to 8 in one turn, where Diana's game plan is just kind of score early, hold early, and then kind of just dwindle you down so that way you're not overpowering with might.
It looks like we did have both players taking a mulligan there, And we're going to start off with the Porobot. Porobot used to be primarily played for the ability to discard it to Hui. These days, though, a lot of people are putting the Porobot in Diana decks to make Swain work.
Oh, yes.
And it actually looks like we're going to start off with the Stupefy here on the Porobot.
Yeah, just to draw a card, set up the next couple of turns. Because Nasus is very awkward on his turn 2, turn 3. Like, if you're not on 7, that 4, 5, and 6 energy is really weird with what you're trying to do. Because some of your cards don't even really synergize itself.
Yeah. And, I mean, this is what... Cran is going to be trying to take advantage of. As Diana is kind of the forefront of the format. It has been for a little bit, and I think it is just because whenever you have a new game, the format is still really new. Tempo decks are really strong because they both apply a very early aggressive clock if they're allowed to run away with it, but they retain a lot of those controlling elements that Blue provides in this format. And so I'll be curious to see if Nasus kind of gets his legs swept out from under him here, or if he's going to kind of be able to scale into the late game. And I know we talked about it a little bit before stream, but the themes of these decks are so thematic. I mean, Nasus is quite literally trying to scale. He's building these pieces. He's got the hourglass. He's trying to get on the board, and Diana here is just trying to get the tempo, right? She's trying to land. She's trying to use that extra mana advantage from her legend to, take these big explosive actions during these showdowns. And so I'm kind of interested to see, if you had to kind of declare what you thought the winning side of this matchup was. Who do you think, long term?
Diana's generally favored.
Okay.
It takes points a little too early for Nasus to try to keep up, and then all big mana decks or big energy decks in this game coming from Magic. Diana's in purple.
Yeah.
Purple has Starcross, so it feels real bad that even though 7 energy triggers your Nasus and gets you 2 of it back.
Oh my gosh, that's absolutely
Starcross still hits you pretty hard.
Yeah. And I mean, we're seeing it right here. I mean, the Diana trigger to be able to put the stacked deck into his hand, still in the showdown, he's going to take advantage of the stacked deck. And I think this is really the crux of purple and blue, right? The fact that you have so much card selection with stacked deck, you have the ability to recur it with Fizz. I mean, you're bouncing your own Fizzes with the Starcrossed, right? And I think
Diana's in the champ zone for you as a turn 1 play, going second, even if so. So, blue purple has a lot of strong ways to put cards into your hand, and then purple has great ways to reuse them again.
And I think that is the biggest thing that makes Diana so powerful, is that going first, you can threaten a turn 2 conquer, and going second, you're totally fine because you're just going to play Diana and have an extra resource the whole game. You're going to draw cards. You're going to manipulate the top of your library. And it's just so powerful because having a deck that takes both options of play draw and utilizes it so strongly is what really forces cards like Bellows Breath into the meta when you have to be able to clear those backlines. And then right there we see it. It's really hard when you have such a consistent early game. Yeah, and then Hui comes down, right?
Yeah. So we're playing Watcher here just so we can get rid of this Diana, I believe. Try to get some tempo points off of the map. This Watcher is also going to be able to contest the Hui on the following turn. So Cran's really going to have to think about where he puts this Hui and how he utilizes it. And then we have the untapped 2 from the Nasus, so that leaves up a discipline for the next turn. He can always retreat Defy in case somebody tries to Moonfall. So there's a lot of options he can do there, but I think that Diana's just being this far into the game, 3-1, getting to this 5th point's going to really hurt, because now that leaves you vulnerable to the swing combo.
Yeah, right, and I think that, and I was talking with Cran beforehand, because I'm playing a Mel deck, and so he was kind of showing me how to play purple-blue, and some of the strongest parts of Diana is the fact that even if it gets removed, the damage was done. It put a stacked deck into your hand. It gave you the mana, or the rune when you needed it, and you played multiple stack decks at this point, so you're in a good position. You're up 4-1. Now your Hui's cooking. You answered the Diana, but what's your plan for this advantage engine? And like you said, the inevitability of not even needing to conquer, but just getting your points from the Swain is so powerful. I mean, just having alternate win conditions baked into it. Like, yeah, Nasus may be able to hit the battlefield, but if you don't have to conquer and you're at 7 and you just play, 3 types and get the extra point from Swain, you win the game.
Well, I believe Swain still has to conquer.
Okay.
So
okay.
The Swain combo is the same as the Nasus combo, just a little bit more efficient, right? Because for Diana here, all he has to do is just hold 1, set up his back line, move everything there, because there's nothing really that Nasus would be able to do at that point. And Nasus has to take both battlefields next turn in order to stop it. Because here, he just moves back, right? He's at 5. He can more than likely let this Hui die, or he can just try to ride the wind, flash, do the Hui shuffle, as I call it.
But, like, I'm looking at his hand, and I don't even think the Hui is going to die, right? Like, he forces the bounce there. The Watcher may be able to come in.
To force the bounce. What I'm predicting, he's going to star-cross here, because he's going to force the fact I thought I saw a hard bargain. But if he's no hard bargain, he has multiple ways to force a defy, and then you just Poro by Watcher with the star-cross, and then the Hui's just protected.
Yeah.
Or what he could do here is let him UVS Chris tap out, do everything he wants to do with his turn, so that way there's less resources for him to answer. And then in response to the Nasus trigger, before you get the 2 energy back, that's when you star-cross, because now you know how to proceed with the rest of the turn.
Yeah, and I mean, we are hitting that critical amount of runes for the Nasus deck. We are at 9. So Nasus is on the table, and bigger plays are available. It's just going to be the question of, is it too late? And you are correct. He is going to go in with the Watcher here. So we're going to see if the Star-Crossed is here. We are using the Diana here. That's so nasty. He's going to move the Hui out.
He's going to put it to the... Is that Dragon Roost? Interesting.
I'll be interested to see what he discards here, because this is like a big problem if it doesn't get stopped.
And the best part about Hui, other than Traveling Merchant, is that he draws before the discard, so you get more viewability, like we said in blue. More card selection to be like, all right, I don't want this, and if you so happen to pitch a spell, let me just draw another card.
Yeah, right. I mean, the difference in a game between being able to draw the card before you discard it is just so powerful, right? And so we see the Stupefy go, and if you're sitting over there as the Nasus player and you see a Stupefy go in this situation, like, you have to not be happy about the fact of how big the Diana's hand is at this point, and like what are they discarding that's better than an interaction piece that helps you fight down the Watcher's power to make the Hui win, and then also the fact that he's just got all these cards, right? And so I think you're correct. I think there has to be a Star-Crossed. Even then, I mean,
1, 2, 3, 4,
what
5,
do you
6,
do
7,
even if you kill the Hui at this point, right? Like that was a conquer to 6. Yeah. So if you go over and kill the Hui, now he conquers over here.
How much energy he has 6 here, so he could relatively, right?
Looks like we're big play.
This is, I think, where he sets up the Swain. Because he's going to hold to 7, actually, so he doesn't need to set up Swain.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, is where he's going to take advantage of the Star-Cross before the Nasus triggers.
Okay.
See, yep, here we go. Before Nasus, I have a response. I'm going to tap 3 for
there
the
it is. We see it in the hand.
Poro. And then here he's going to hit the Astro Huron, because if Astro Huron is not at the battlefield when this Nasus untaps and he has priority again, he does not get the reduction from the Huron.
Yeah, and there's no Defy in the hand over there to really break this up. I mean,
that's tough. So I mean, it's just going to full go through.
Yeah, right. And I think that this is probably the break point. I think if
100%.
he was able to, combat this Star-Crossed and, there was no other gas in the Diana hand, I think this is maybe where you could see that late game takeover. But I think that, the early game Diana just provided too much card advantage. It came down, and it really threatened those points early. And, as much as Zonia's Hourglass is a great card to hide, I mean, it got played on turn...
didn't mean to untap, but there we go.
It got played early. It hasn't really provided anything to this match. I mean, you think about the impact the cards were on Cran's side on turn 1 and 2, and I mean, the Hourglass is a great card. Unfortunately, I feel like a luxury against a Diana deck. It's so difficult to give those early turns up.
And not just Diana in general. In purple, Hourglass does nothing. Bouncing beats dying. So if you're bouncing me all game long, this Hourglass is basically just pay 2 and save whatever the Diana or the purple player decides to kill. Because say you throw out another Lecturing Yordle. Right, like he's about to do right there. See, perfect timing. Because now if I just kill the Lecturing Yordle, your Hourglass triggers. It has to save the Yordle, and then I can use the rest of the remaining resources to get rid of your Watcher, and the Watcher's just gone.
It does look like the Gust is going to put the Yordle back in the hand, and I really do think that's the nail in the coffin here. Especially
nail in the coffin is there's no Defy because he's going to hold to 7 here. He can play Fizz Starcross, bounce the Fizz Watcher, and then use the Fizz again to ride the Wind away. And that's just GG's.
Yeah.
So.
And I wonder if that is the line that will be taken. I mean, it looks like there's also just a Ride the Wind in hand here, but it does look like he will opt for the Fizz.
Yep, he put 2 back, so Starcross.
So Starcross is going to target the Fizz, and I think, the Breach. Okay, Breach is a new Vendetta card. Yep, and that actually will make the Hui smaller.
Yes.
Fizz does go back to hand. I still think, given the fact that there's a Ride the Wind in hand, the magic could happen, and there is the Moonfall.
Yeah, so now he's just going to Moonfall the Watcher over because in this showdown, he can use Ride the Wind Hui, and it doesn't matter if the Watcher conquers over there. He just needs the point from the other. So he's going to conquer this Veil.
It looks like they're just making sure that the swap does happen before the showdown.
Correct.
The game is still very new. This is something that was explained to me, actually, like 15, 20 minutes ago when I was playing with Cran. He's a very, very proficient player.
Yeah,
and that
really
will be the Conquer to 8
in this game. So everything I know is pretty much confirmed by him. So he knows a lot. He's a great player. I would love to see him in a regional if we can get him through the lottery system.
Yeah, and I think that we did talk about it, as we are going to go over to a separate game here, Kennen versus the Jace.
And Jace Aurora, I wonder if there was a turn 2 Aurora with promising future.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. This is a pretty rough time to come over to this matchup, as we do see the Tide Turner holding. I imagine there were some shenanigans involved with that Tide Turner.
100%. But this is generally where this is the average game of Aurora here, right? Because now all Aurora needs to do since he's in blue is just move in or start with a Flurry. Flurries these 2. He can. I would have just moved 1 in and saved the Flurry, because then you can save Flurry for the following turn when he tries to push everything in for the game. But then just move the Aurora or the Dragon in. You can then Bellows Breath if you have that to hit the baseline, and then still have another Aurora trigger to hit your second Dragon and finish everything off. And then that way you would still have the Flurry for if he tries to do any Ride the Wind shenanigans. Because Nocturne does have ganking, so if he somehow sees a Nocturne Ride the Wind, he can just win off the game.
And I think that
unless it's 0-0, so 6-1. So he could just do the Ride the Wind Nocturne game plan to get himself out of there.
I will say there is a Fizz in hand.
Yep.
So the shenanigans that Yordle can pull off, quite high.
Man, that trickster.
Yeah, dude. I
can't wait for him to be in the champ zone.
Imagine if you had a Snapcaster Mage that also cast the spell for free. For those of you who don't know, Magic, Snapcaster Mage, very, very good card. And Fizz, also a very strong card here.
Let's pick up the deck.
Yeah.
As soon as we do it, too.
Yeah. That is a tragedy. But the Elder Dragon will find the second Elder Dragon.
Yep. And what is this at the bottom? I'm assuming it's a unit.
Oh, the Glare?
Yeah, so he's probably going to take out the Nocturne. That's probably going to be the biggest target. Or did we not target anything?
Not quite sure.
Interesting.
Does look like we are going to move in here, though, and attempt to conquer.
Yeah, he didn't target anything, did he?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if there was something that we maybe just missed earlier, like that couldn't have hit it, because it couldn't have been a Unyielding Spirit, since that is in the other color, and that's really the only thing that would stop something like that. I mean, you still target, though.
I guess my question for you as a judge here would be, you know,
it says up to.
It says
so
up
you don't
to,
have
yeah.
to target, because like if you wanted to, I can only target your one thing in base.
And that
you had
does
two
look
scuttles
like
on battlefields, and I want you looking in my hand. I don't have to target the scuttles.
You know, and in this situation, I wonder if that was like the end of the game was so close that it was more so like pass, you're gonna win the game,
Right? Just get
right,
it over
and it's
quickly.
and maybe just a shortcutting of that last turn. As it does look like we're gonna go back into the Diana Nasus matchup.
Right.
And if you're a Nasus player here,
Rockfall Path is going to be probably our strongest battlefield, with both decks running Temporal Breach.
okay,
That
and can you tell me a little bit about why?
So that is one of our new latest combos as far as battlefield wise, because you can hide the Temporal Breach at the battlefield, and then since Temporal Breach literally says you have to replay that unit to this location specifically, Rockfall Path stops that and will just leave the unit and banish.
I see. So it functions as a exile.
Correct.
I see. And we do see the Scuttle Crab, so we are going to have a bit of a different game here as the Nasus is able to present a unit on turn one. So, you know, we still might have to worry about the Gust or, you know, something of the like here, but, you know, gusting a Scuttle Crab probably doesn't feel great. I mean, I like drawing multiple cards off of Scuttle Crab.
Well, fortunately in this game, drawing cards, yes, that it does feel a little detrimental in your game plan, that your opponent has more options. It also means that they're not scoring points.
That's true.
Right? And in this game, points is worth a lot more than cards in hand in the mid game, I would say. The late game, cards in hand are worth more than points, because you still need to be able to react and stuff like that.
Okay.
Which is why you see a lot of riskier plays in certain matchups when it comes to the resources.
I think we are going to target the Raven Bloom, and I think that's just exactly what you're talking about, right? Like taking the risk here that you might get blown out, because alleviating some of that early pressure that the Diana deck can present with such a strong defender, being the Raven Bloom. I mean, trying to get through a Raven Bloom that's getting stronger with every blue or purple interaction piece that's getting played on you is very difficult, and that's going to allow the Conquer here to 1.
And looking at Chris's hand, it also just looks like the best play, because like I was saying last game, this is the time where Nasus feels weird, right?
Yeah.
Where his only optimal play was to get rid of Raven Bloom, because it gets Diana off of a point, it ramps you in energy, and it does something that the rest of your deck can't do, which is a proactive play without letting your opponent react to it.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, they could always react to the spell, but as far as like his next play now is to literally just let you look at your hand. And there's nothing else that can happen.
But I mean, we talked about it with the battlefield here, the breach getting revealed. A little unfortunate that is known information for Chris, but I don't think it matters much. I mean, it's such a strong card. We will see, and the Death Knell was going to show the hand either way. It looks like we got a Swain, Stupefy, Ride the Wind Gust. There's a Hui in there.
Breach, and is that 2 breaches?
I think there's 2 Huis in the hand.
2 Huis?
2 Huis. So yeah, just saying, you know, usually a little reserved with Hui, because you want that to kind of be your late game engine. But if you have 2 of them, and you know you're playing against another deck that's trying to set up late game, I would just put the Hui down, start your advantage. I mean, the faster you can get the known cards out of your hand and put your opponent back in an information deficit, the better. And it does look like the breach is going to be hidden. Both players fully aware that that's what's happening, given the reveal earlier.
As you saw, Cran did reveal that it was a breach, because Scuttle lets you look at face down cards all turn. So whether, you know, you could reveal your hand, draw more cards. I don't get to see the more cards you draw, but if you hide anything and it wasn't part of the cards that I already knew, that's still the extra information that most people don't realize. You get to recheck that.
Yeah. And I think, you know, Cran knowing that just says, you know what, you already know about this Temporal Breach. It doesn't actually hurt me. I am trying to play this tempo game where I get the Hui down early and abuse the Diana. And so, yeah, we're going to see that breach come down. And I wonder if the players are aware. I mean, we did see the Defy in Chris's hand.
Yep.
And, I mean, we talked about it last game being the crux of the game. And I think having the Defy here is going to be a big deal. We're going to see a Gust, but it's only to save the Diana.
And that's 100% a wonderful play because Gust does nothing to Nasus.
Yeah.
Like, all your units are 6 might, all your units are 5 might. You're not really looking to Gust the Scuttle Crab. You just let them look at your hand and, like you said, cycle through it because the more cards you get through, the less cards they know. And then you're not really looking to try to do this all-time Ezreal play where you're moonfalling, smoke screening, and gusting because then they just have more access to the card that you gusted. You just want to get rid of the card.
We will see Hui go in, though. Hopefully there's a unit to discard.
He's probably going to discard a...
Stupefy? Well, there are 3 Stupefies in the hand. So we unfortunately just drew the Porobot, but the Stupefy will come off of the Diana Legend here.
Interesting.
So both champions at 5 here.
So then I think we did have another Hui in hand because I think in this scenario you just pitch a unit here.
Yeah, the second Stupefy could come through.
Yeah, if you're not pitching a unit, you have to use 2 Stupefies because I don't think you want a 1-for-1 trade the Tasty Faithful because he still draws a card and gets 2 ruins. But we're going to see a retreat here, so we'll save the Tasty. Crown will conquer here, and Chris will ramp a ruin.
Yeah, and that while that is very strong, I mean, we once again are seeing Diana take the point lead. There's a Hui that is in movement. I mean, last time, I imagine we'll see it again. You come and try to contest this Hui on the battlefield, you're going to find yourself watching the Hui leave as he rides the wind to conquer and take another point, and then he's going to discard a spell and draw 2 more cards.
Fair, but
right?
But that scenario does put Cran in a situation because now he can't replay the Diana because now he won't be able to ride the wind.
True.
He hasn't shown a 2-drop all game, and he just drew a Porobot, which he's probably saving for a Swain play until he sees another one. So this is really a sticky situation. Like, does he just leave up the 4 energy so that way he can main protect the Hui and just ride the winds to the other one? Because we know Chris is going to replay that Tasty Faithful.
It makes me wonder if the ride the wind would happen now to untap the runes, perhaps, if he discards that Porobot.
Well, so Ride the Winning now doesn't really do anything other than putting you in the same scenario you're in with 1 less ruin for the next turn. Because you do have to recycle 1 for the win.
True.
Versus just doing it on the opponent's turn. Because if you do it on the opponent's turn, you're forcing him to commit to the Rockfall path.
Yeah.
And then you're taking a free point to the other side.
That's true. And I guess the only reason that you would want to do that is by getting around the Defy.
Good evening, Shrug. How you doing tonight?
Oh, yes. We have had Shrug Gaming join the stream. Welcome.
So we're here facing Diana and Nasus. This is game 2 of round 1. Diana won game 1. Looking like it's going to go in Diana's favor unless Nasus can change it around this one.
I mean, Nasus has made it to the 8 runes in a much healthier situation, though. I mean, last time it was, I think, 5 or 6 to 1, and this time it's 3 to 2, right? So in that kind of late game takeover, you can afford to take this turn to play the Nasus because you're not just going to lose next turn unless we see the absolute craziest, all 3 ride the winds, bounce this way back and forth.
Well, that's a Swain combo right there. Score 4 points off Swain. But unfortunately, we do hold, so there's only 3 points that can be scored this turn. I wouldn't see Ride the Winning Hui to the other battlefield, scoring to the 5th. And then, or first moving Hui back, talk about getting most value out of things.
Right.
Move Hui back, draw 1. See what you're going to do next, right? Get as much information as you can. Ride the wind forward so that way you score, draw
The Tide
again.
Turner helps a lot here, actually.
Well, Tide Turner is great for the next turn.
Yeah.
So he did pitch the Ride the Wind.
Although he did pick up,
2,
he picked up a Starcross here, which is
that's
actually
gonna be detrimental because when you go to empower the Nasus, you just bounce him in the same range. Same thing he did last game before the Nasus untaps 2 runes and has a response.
And here's the Swain, right? And seeing the Swain come down absolutely has to be a nightmare for Chris here. I mean, I guess seeing the Swain come down means that you're free to empower the Nasus without getting Starcrossed in this current moment.
Well, this matters if Chris plays Singularity, because if he plays Singularity, he gets rid of both the units, and he does play around Hard Bargain here, which Hard Bargain cannot be repeated.
Yes,
So
that is true, right? Like, this is a window.
That would be his window, yep.
And, I mean, at this point, you could even see a Singularity backed up by a Defy. I mean, I'm not exactly sure what's in Chris's hand, but this is the window. It looks like we do not have a Singularity, did not draw one. So in a bit of a tougher spot, but, you know, this is kind of your moment. There is a Ride the Wind that is available, which can bring that Hui or Swain up to a battlefield. Most likely the Hui, because you want the value. But
for the Tasty.
Okay.
Definitely the Hui for the value, because what I am probably going to see here is the... first we'll see everything that you do, which this is smart to play the Tasty first, because if he rides the Wind Hui over, you at least still have room to swing the Tasty in, and then we saw Chris has some disciplines and of the likes in hand, so he'll be able to win that matchup if Hui does go to 8. Yeah,
right, and Discipline... not as good a card as it is in Aurelia in Nasus, however, still a very, very powerful card. And being able to get to that crucial 8 here to threaten a Hui, I mean, you have to be asking yourself as Cran, I mean, you did have a second Hui, and you are in the advantage here, but, like, how much... how far can that advantage take you before you get kind of overrun by the Stompy deck, right? I mean, at the end of the day, every single one of these Nasus units are bigger than Cran's units unless he's getting to pump that Hui by discarding a unit, and every unit you discard is a unit that you are not presenting to the board.
100%.
And so against a deck that just consistently wants to play giant threats, you're going to eventually start to struggle if you can't close out this game.
True, and we haven't seen a Ravenbloom student, which is another big factor in this matchup, because it's a small unit that gets just as big or bigger in some cases than these Nasus ones. And then, so we double conquer here. We're going to be holding both to 6. And this is where the tricky part of Chris comes in, is because now he's on the defense for the rest of the game.
Yep.
He cannot leave these battlefields, because then that opens Swain up to double conquer. And in those double conquers, he goes from 4 to 8. He can't move Nasus back in case he wants to. I mean, he probably can move Nasus back, but opening up Rockfall leaves him susceptible to another Temporal Breach combo, and that's going to be real detrimental for this. And then not having any more Defies really holds you up to a lot too. So really, Chris is just hoping that this is a combat-focused turn or a setup for the following turn, so that way Nasus can have more answers.
Yeah, and I think that something we're going to see is... we do see the Porobot come down, so I wonder if there is a Swain plan here.
Well, all he needs to do is just... because now if he star crosses the Tasty Faithful, so he doesn't play Deflect, but he does have another Temporal Breach, so he can play the Deflect on the Nasus and hold that for the combo, I said.
I think that's what we're considering here.
Because he's just trying to figure out where he wants to put this Swain. Because Swain will now score 2 points.
Yeah.
And then if we do another Ride the Wind combo, we can potentially... I think what he's going to do is bounce the Nasus, pay the Deflect, move Swain into a Rockfall path, because then he will score 2 points to 6. Somehow either...
we do see the Discipline come out on
I think that's wrong to play it on the Nasus. You got to play it on the Tasty, because now if there's a Fizz or another Starcross, Tasty does nothing. And Nasus is already leaving the battlefield.
I think that was an attempted dig for the Defy. I think that was looking for a Defy to, because then you're buffing the Nasus, you defy the Starcrossed. How are you getting in on the Nasus? You have a second Discipline in your hand to buff up the Tasty if you need to. I really do think that was a draw for the 1 out. And I think, unfortunately, we didn't get there.
Oh, 100%. I agree with the Discipline play. I just don't agree with where he played it.
That's true. That's true.
I think because you already know you're losing the Nasus. So if you don't draw that Defy, now not only did you lose Nasus, you also lost a Discipline.
Yeah.
And all it did was just dredge you one.
Yeah.
Right? So now this Tasty's still sitting at 6, and this Hui can now go to 8, and he can just outright win because it's forcing you to take both battlefields on your next turn versus the 1. So if you put the 2 on the Tasty, it at most trades with the Hui and forces him to have the Ride the Wind for the Sway or for the Swain to win this game right here.
And I actually am a little intrigued to see if this Tide Turner is going to come down as a hidden card, just as kind of that last checkmate.
No, he's going to win the game here because all you have to do is move the Hui in, start the showdown, see what Chris is going to do because you have another unit to make this Hui an 8 to guarantee the conquer. See if Chris has another discipline because they don't play Ongars and Nasus. If he uses 2 for the discipline, all you do is just bring the Swain, Swain in afterwards. Yes. Because then this, like I said, the Hui is going to trade it with the Tasty now because Tasty can only go to an 8, not a 10 if you put the discipline on it before.
Okay. Yeah, right. And so I think we're going to see that. The Hui is going to come in.
You see, he's already got the Poro. Pitch the Poro bot, untap 2, give it +3, and then you're just going to ride the Wind Swain in for the game.
Yep. And we are seeing the Ride the Wind.
No, don't do it now, because if you do it now, you're trading with the Tasty unless you have, like, a Moonfall or a Stupefy.
Yeah.
Because, we know Chris is going to discipline. That's the only play he has here. He doesn't have the...
But Chris has the discipline to not play it yet.
But that's what I'm saying on Cran's side. If he did what I was saying, where he pitched the Poro bot, Hui's already at 8... All he needs... Okay, so we have the Eclipse. There we go.
Okay. So it was a done deal. We just didn't see the Eclipse. And the checkmate was presented, showing...
3 lecture... Hey, it was time for him to learn, I guess, that you don't need 3 of those into a Diana matchup.
Yeah, right. And I think it's hard with the sideboards being smaller in Riftbound, right? You get to pack less additional... flexibility in your deck with it only being at 10 versus like a traditional Magic sideboard at 15. So I will be interested to see if they increase it over time. If they think
we already increased it from 8 to 10.
Yeah.
But to counter argue that, I think you have more flexibility in a Riftbound deck than you have in the combined spaces of a Magic sideboard and mainboard. Because since your ruins are not part of your main deck, you have 40 or 39 cards technically to flex around with. Where in Magic, if you count the 20 to 24, 26 card slot for your lands only, that leaves you with roughly 30.
Yeah,
36,
that is true.
And you're 3 cards shorter. I'm sure you might have an extra 5 card sideboard, but you're seeing more gas in a Riftbound game than you are seeing in a Magic game. It's just so happened that Magic has way more ways to draw cards in Plethora, use mana in Plethora, and just do crazy things with less cards.
Yeah, and I think that every game experiences power creep. Even in the first couple sets of Riftbound, we've seen power creep. You talked about Deathbloom Predator.
I was going to say, you talk about my Deathbloom area with a Rain Guard. That's the biggest power creep we have right now. I think our biggest power creep is a 1-set power creep. In set 3, we have this 2-mana order card, or 2 energy order card that just says kill a 3-mana or less unit. I don't know if it has to be a battlefield or not.
Okay.
And then in set 4, we have Lacerate that says kill a 3-mana or less unit anywhere after you disempower it. So that's the biggest power creep we have within a set.
As someone who had 3 Lacerates in their pre-rift with the Ambessa, I can agree that Lacerate is a good Riftbound card.
And it has flow. They took 1 card, gave it replayability, and more accessibility in what it can target.
I do think that flow, as a concept, reminds me a lot of Mardu Pyromancer in old school Magic, where the best thing that you were doing was discarding 2 cards, but those cards were both cards that had flashback. And the ability to basically draw a card for free and put a flow card in your trash. Is it a trash in this?
Yeah, it's trash.
Yeah. Put it in your trash and then have the replayability from your trash is just so strong because the ability to discard it you're functionally just drawing a card, right? You're putting it aside for later, and in best case scenario, your opponent forgets it's there, and then all of a sudden you're going to conquer for your 8th point, and you're like, oh, I got this lacerate right here, pay the flow cost, and they're like, oh dang, I forgot about that. I thought you had no cards in hand. You're like, well, I didn't. I had this in the trash.
And speaking of flow and Mardu Pyromancer, right now purple, one of the best colors in this game, can technically be your Mardu Pyromancer all in one color because
the tentacles.
Have the tentacles. Yeah, the tentacles has flow, so that gives you 4 tentacles units, and then you have Illoi that says whenever she.
Do you say Illoi?
Illoi.
Alawi?
Illoi.
Illoi?
Illoi.
It's Alawi.
Well, if we can say caramel instead of caramel, I'm gonna say Illoi instead of Ilawi.
Well, that's objectively wrong too.
So okay,
though.
we can be as objective as much as we want. It's caramel at this point. But
yeah, I mean, English is really weird because the reason that Ghost has a silent H is because the people who operated the printing presses in Europe at the time were Flemish, and that's the GH comes from the Flemish language, and they just decided we were going to do it. And then we just never changed it. So English does, unfortunately, not work as a language in a lot of conventional ways.
We should get him a Heimerdinger outfit.
Okay, we're going to take a break as we get ready for round 2 here. I hope you guys stick around and come back to the musings of Panda and Soap.
Soapy Panda.
Soapy.
right, and we're back for. Well, I gotta put both ears.
Oh,
Back
yes,
for
yes.
round two. Round two still getting set up. So how's everybody doing? What is your favorite deck actually? Since you're newer.
My favorite deck?
Yep.
Is it my favorite deck because like I only own one deck, so like
How many decks have you played though?
I have played. So I've played Master Yi, Diana.
Okay.
I've played Mel. I've played Aurelia, and then I played like a really jank Zed deck.
Ooh, nice.
So far, the most enjoyable deck to play was Master Yi because it is beyond broken.
Yes, sir.
I think that deck is unfair. I think the fact that you get Charm, Defy, and Sabotage is like, in my opinion, the holy trinity of interaction. It's like especially like, worst case scenario for you is you're playing against another green deck and you sabotage them and they defy your sabotage and you're like, okay, I went 1 for 1 and took your counterspell.
100%.
But best case scenario, Thoughtseize is just one of the best cards in Magic history ever.
Yep,
and so the fact they printed it in Riftbound so early on, I'm like, it's backbreaking in almost every match I've seen it resolved.
And speaking of Thoughtseize and Magic, and we were talking about Modern earlier, we actually have kind of a Modern setup between our discards for Orange because our Thoughtseize is Sabotage, and then our Inquisition of Kozilek is the new Orange decree that kind of technically only takes the blue card, and that's the restriction between the two for my comparison.
I did see some people messing around with purple orange and they were like sabotaging it and then getting it back with Fizz.
Yeah, you sabotage, get it back with Fizz, you get Mind Splitter.
Yep.
Like, I really want to put together a either a Sivir or a Misfortunes Dragon deck.
Okay.
One specifically because of the new Dragon Roost battlefield, it gives you that purple Misfortune effect, so you can basically always play them to that battlefield. And then since you're using the whole Dragon engine, they're reduced by 2 from the Herald, and you're untapping 2 from the Gemstone, and you're just churning through them. You get the new Ocean Drake, which bounces 9 dragons as well. You get Mind Splitter, which is a dragon. So now you get Sabotage. You get a Mind Splitter for effectively 1 if you have all 3 Heralds.
Yeah.
So, like, you're really playing Thoughtseize at that point with a 7 Might Body. And you get the new decree on top of getting like hard bargains and stuff. So really, like, purple orange is the best combo for me. But as a Yi player, like you said, it's just too good.
The
like,
fact,
Surprise Defender Rengar for 8 is insane.
The thing that really frustrated me when I started playing this game was when I would play a dude out and then I would pass the turn and the Yi would like conquer and then they charm your dude into them and then I get the +2 because I'm the defender. I'm like, what? And the fact that charm lets you give pseudo ganking, right? Like you can steal something from another battlefield over to your battlefield is so dumb because no one explained that to me when I'm starting to play. And so I'm just like, oh, I'm going to conquer the other one because then I don't have to go through. And then he's like, I'm just going to charm you over. And I'm like, okay, cool, man.
Yep.
And then I'm like, well, I'll play a counterspell. He's like, well, actually, I have a Defy. I'm like, okay, well, then I'll pass. And then he's like, well, I'm going to sabotage you. Take the only good card left in your hand. I'm like, yeah, you got it. You got it, man. You got it.
And all right, so starting with round 2, we have Kennen and Mbessa. And I was actually just talking to Miyuki about Mbessa, and he was saying he didn't like Rek'Sai because of how slow it feels into certain matchups, and Mbessa kind of just gets you there due to that ready ability of the mission.
I will be intrigued here. We did just talk about purple being really strong in the first round, and we talked about blue also giving you a lot of strong tools. This will be a round that we don't see blue, but we will see purple, and I'll be kind of intrigued to see how it lines up because I really do feel like Riftbound is so centric around those 2 colors currently. And it does look like we will see a first turn play here.
Yep. We're seeing the broker from Mbessa. It has Def Now, create a gold token. The keys in this matchup right now is going to be how fast. Well, first, what version of Kennen is this deck? Is it Beta Hook Kennen? Doesn't look to be Control Kennen because we played a 2-drop treasure or not treasure, traveling merchant. So we know it's at least the mid-range. It might be the flow variant where they're just putting everything in their grave and trying to last rights it back. Could just be a mid-range variant where they're just playing out like a Diana version, just good stuff, and using the 6 different one-drop draw spells that it can use to go through its deck, and then uses everything from the purple Kennen to bring them back. Which is really
speaking of, we did just see a stack deck added to the hand here, and it looks like we see an Ezreal as well.
See, purple Ezreal as we're talking about earlier.
It does look like that Ezreal is going to meet the bin here as we pick up a different card. Didn't quite catch what it was, but it does look like we are going to conquer successfully as Mbessa is on the back line. But it makes me wonder, like, if you can out-tempo this Mbessa some way and just, like, bounce it, like, that has to feel quite terrible here against a Traveling Merchant that's already starting to cook. And like you talked about, if this is a flow variant, it just looks like we're going to play a Tide Turner. Oh, yeah, we're going to discard again.
Yeah, this just looks like a mid-range variant. Kind of not the Miracle-esque version, but the more Stormy version, where you're just looking to play a bunch of small dudes, and then you're dropping Rasas and stuff like that at the end of the game.
Looks like we will get our Mox down here.
Yep, Sealed Discord into a Kennen. Next, we're going to burn 2.
Okay. Hard Bargain hits the bin along with a Ride the Wind.
Yep. And then, so for this next turn, it's going to be real essential that Mbessa takes the other battlefield. And if they can, just leave the Tide Turner and kill it with a spell, possibly, like a Rampage that we saw out of Miyuki's hand earlier.
Or those Lacerates we talked about.
Lacerates, too, but I think you want to save Lacerates for like that mid game, right?
Yeah,
where
that's fair.
They're playing a bunch of units and then you're just popping down something that could potentially stop you from making a conquer happen.
It does look like there is a Kennen in the hand of Mbessa here. We will discard it, but I was actually going to say it's kind of a nasty hide there.
Yeah, but like we were saying, or like I was saying earlier, the Mbessa is going to go tall.
Yeah.
Like this is basically the same matchup as last round, where the Mbessa is going to go taller than the Kennen, where Nasus went taller than Diana. It's really on Mbessa's foot to take these battlefields and make a board state.
That's true.
You're going to go taller than Kennen unless they're dropping triple Rasas and double Nocturnes, right? That's going to be real hard to beat, but if all they're really doing is just playing a bunch of 2-drops, you're going to get through that. Yeah. Especially since Rampage is definitely going to push you over anything other than a Baron.
Yeah, right. And the Mbessa only being able to be taken out through combat does make it a bit more of a resilient threat. And we do see a little bit of an issue here in the fact that, unlike Hui, the Traveling Merchant does not let you draw the card first, right? So you are putting yourself in a bit of a disadvantaged state to get that loot. We haven't seen any flow cards hit the bin yet. So, I mean, as nice as it feels, yeah, we do see the Rampage here. That can't feel good after just playing out your champion.
100%.
But,
and then there's the Lacerate that you're talking about. So, and this is where I'm talking about where the Lacerate was real good in that mid to late game where you're taking away Traveling Merchant from one, drawing you more cards, putting more cards in your trash, and taking away a point.
He did pick up a Fizz, though.
Fizz doesn't do much in this board state. You don't have a Star Cross.
That's true, but I would say if there's a Star Crossed in hand we haven't seen yet, that could be
but he has no units,
nice
so he can't Fizz and then Fizz Star Cross. He would have to Fizz, target something else, and then Star Cross, and you're still putting back 2 ruins, effectively time-walking yourself.
That is true. So I mean, both players are lower on runes at the current moment. Looks like we are maybe just going to look for that stack deck.
I think it is going to be a stack deck.
No, it's a Ride the Wind.
Interesting.
Valuing the... Oh, maybe we have a play here to get the Mbessa.
So we're going to give Assault from Kennen. And then we're just going to punch first through this. Yep.
Damn.
And that kills that play. So that's why I was saying the Fizz isn't really too good of a play here because it's going to set you back on too many runes because you got to use one for the Fizz and then anything you use, you still pay the power cost. So I feel like this would have been a better development turn trying to get
we
to
did pick up the Starcross, though, which feels pretty good.
But he needs a unit. Yep. He's going to take this Treasure Hunter so that way he can build board. And if he would have played Stack Deck before the Fizz and saw that Starcrossed, I wonder if his play would have been a little bit different.
Yeah, right. And I think sometimes in Magic, and this is mostly where I'm going to speak from, the ability to look at cards before making your decision is just so valuable. And I mean, that's why we see so many of the best cantrips banned, like Ponder and Brainstorm. Just the ability to shape the cards off the top of your deck are so good. And I mean, I think that Stack Deck would probably, just from my very limited experience playing, I think Stack Deck is one of the strongest cards in the game. It very much smooths out your early game, especially going second, where you can play a Stack Deck and play a 2-drop
100%.
is like just such a good spot to be in. It looks like the hand tier for Kennen, though, is just the Starcross Fizz, which, I mean, there are worse 2 cards to look at by far.
But the unfortunate part of the strength of Stack Deck is that it is the only variant of its kind within Purple. And even though it does give you that strong turn 1 play, it's kind of Purple's only way to fluctuate itself.
Yeah.
So that's where it protects itself from being banned. Unlike Called Shot, which was banned because it definitely warped the game, where you apply that with a Purple Ezreal and you're drawing 2 cards, looking at 4 for 0 energy and potentially 0 power.
It does look like Fizz is going to come out here. That'd be a pretty good play to see what we're going to choose, but I mean, anything that you're getting back.
I'm assuming it's going to be a Starcross. Yeah.
I mean, setting yourself up to reuse.
Make sure Starcross goes to the bottom. Because that's another thing that most people didn't realize with Fizz is that it goes to the bottom. So now I wonder if we also did the Ride the Wind. Did we put that to the bottom?
I think there were 2. We saw 2 Ride the Winds discarded earlier.
Yep. He also burned 1.
Yeah. Well, no. So we saw 1 discarded and one of them got burned.
Okay,
So there were 2 in the yard. So in theory, there should only be 1 left. It doesn't. It looks like we're Stacked Deck again here. Just like we said, getting that filtering. I mean, as the
free Nocturne.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And we get a Lightning Rush. So yeah, like the power of Kennen is just really strong. That as we're talking about, you not only do you get to look at cards, but because of the way Nocturne is worded, you have 6 cards, 3 of them that have flow itself. So even if it hits the trash off of something like its own Lightning Rush, you still have enough value off of this Nocturne that even if you draw it, you're just going to somehow pitch it, recycle it, and then you'll see it again.
Yeah, and like you talked about earlier, Nocturne having ganking is going to be a problem for this Ambessa that is really going to try to come down to these battlefields and, challenge. And unfortunately, like you said, the Ambessa's role here is to come down and really take control of the game as fast as possible before it slips away from you. And while like an admirable job has happened here, with a Fizz and a Nocturne out, I am starting to get worried on if the game is going to slip away from the Ambessa. I don't think it's happened quite yet, but it almost feels like it's starting to happen. I will say that the discrepancy in the amount of cards in hand is very, very high. There's only, I think it's 3 cards in the hand of Kennen, and we do see, I believe, 6 in Ambessa's
and this is
hand.
how Ambessa comes back, is you're in a purple meta. They're just going to Starcross you to death. So we already understand that. You have to play 2 units a turn if you can.
Yeah.
That was Nasus's problem last game. He was only playing 1 unit a turn, so Starcross takes the whole turn away.
Yep.
With Ambessa, you at least put down a Lightning Rod, and then you have the less of your land going.
Yeah.
And this is a very strong with Emissary because it gives you 2 units.
Yeah, and I do think the Kennen is in a quite strong position here, especially if there's another Starcrossed in hand. The ability to conquer with the Fizz and then tempo out by bouncing your own Fizz again, which gives you another Starcrossed. I mean, like you said, purple is the meta, and I personally do not enjoy Starcross permacycling, but it is very powerful.
What do you mean? So, for me, I enjoy Kennen Starcross because as one who watches Legacy, hasn't really played it yet, I don't understand the frustration of Mystic Sanctuary and Daze looping. So where you're just constantly having that counter, where that's what it feels like to me, and being able to actually play it and not necessarily have to see it prior hand gives me a whole different perspective.
Does look like we are putting the Ride the Wind on the bottom of the deck. we're going to go up to 4 here. Or no, we're riding the Winding Nocturne back? Is that what happened?
I'm assuming so, because that's the only way that Nocturne would have been able to move, so it should be readied right now.
Yeah.
Little key, I guess that is to save the Nocturne, so that way you have more might to fight into the Ambessa, because one thing Ken is better at doing is attacking than defending because of how his legend ability works.
The assault is very powerful.
Right. I didn't know that it was an action speed, give it assault. I figured it was like Mel and all the other legends that were all turn-based speed, and it was just cool. This unit now has it, and then he lightning rushes in, right? Not, oh, I'm in the fight, I already did the lightning rush part, and then now I'm lightning rushing.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see kind of where this goes from here, because we have successfully landed 2 creatures for the Ambessa here, and that was kind of the litmus you're talking about. Now the big decision is like, who do you throw in to conquer?
So I think you have to, at the very least, conquer with the Noxian Emissary into the Zodwarns to see if you can have more options. And then one of these rampages, I believe, has to be used this turn onto Rasa to give you higher might.
Okay.
And if this is the Risen Altar, that's where the correct move is to move the Ambessa, because then you can reduce the power cost for it, or not the power cost, the energy cost for it, to give you more resources to enact. And then you can just move the Emissary over into the Zodwarns, go to 5, which puts you up a point, and then really forces you to tell the cannon to fight me. Right? Like, one of these units has to die. You can't just keep star-crossing me all day. Something needs to fight me, and that's just how you clear units in the purple meta.
And, yeah, I agree with you. Looking at the hand here, I'm intrigued to see how this turn plays out. I mean, the hard part is you need to make those plays, but you also can't cycle too many of your runes out, because the best plays that you're looking for, like the punch and other things, like these colors are very rune heavy, and right now you are in an advantage, like resource wise, against purple yellow.
Right.
And so, like, I don't think they necessarily want to give that up, but at the same time, you want to be able to play those powerful cards that are going to have these game warping effects. So it's a bit of a balancing. I mean, empowering Ambessa does cost runes, and so the real question is, like, how do you manage your resources? So yeah, we do see the challenge. Taking out, that is a pretty good play here, I would imagine.
And what just happened there, for those who aren't aware, challenge, even though it does fight the 2 units, Ambessa cannot take damage outside of combat when she's empowered. So the Rasa will attempt to deal the 6 to the Ambessa and miss-target it, essentially, and then the Ambessa will deal the full 6 damage back. Or I think 7, because she gets +3 from the power. So she'll deal 7 damage to the Rasa, but the Rasa will not deal the 6 damage.
And looking at the face here on Kennen, it is not one of happiness as that interaction takes place. I mean, you have to not be feeling great here. You are down 2 cards. Ambessa is holding, most likely. I mean, you might get the challenge off here, but I'm not even sure it's worth it.
I think you rampage here. Get rid of this Nocturne.
Oh, for sure. I just meant from the side of Kennen. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's even worth trying to deal with this Ambessa anymore. But they don't take the rampage. They're willing to take the Nocturne Fizz trade.
No, just move the Ambessa back, and protect itself. It's thinking on the Noxian just to see if it wants to move forward. But you definitely want to move that Ambessa back, because it does force... Sen is readied, so you do get over with the 2 fizzes.
Yeah.
But it's just looking to protect its units at this point, since units are what you need. Because we haven't seen like a Cold a week out from Kennen yet, so we don't know if they're playing it.
Here is a pretty nice draw, though.
Ezreal's kind of interesting in a Kennen deck. You don't play a lot of optional cost, so I think it's just used for getting cards in the trash and to push through, which is interesting, because that makes me wonder if they're playing a last rites in the deck, which is a lot of Kennens are doing, rather than playing Ezreal as another way to get units from the trash, since they like to ride the wind and get these sneaky points and stuff like that.
We do watch the Nocturne go into the bin as the
'Cause
Zon.
you're never really looking to hard cast a Nocturne, so that's an easy pitch right there.
A bit of bantering back and forth as the 3 cards for Kennen here. 3.
Yeah, I think they're deciding on what's in their trash, right? You got Flow, Lightning Rush is, like I said earlier, one of those great cards because now you get to stack deck again, refill your trash. I believe that's another Nocturne. Nope, Last Rites. There we go. So this is what I was talking about earlier, where Kennens like to use the Last Rites because, like, as you see, you just fill the trash. Oh no, there was a Nocturne. And Nocturne plus Lightning Rush is really strong / stack deck because not only do you get a unit, you also get a card in hand.
I'm a bit confused why that seal went to the bin.
So Lightning Rush isn't stack deck. Stack deck puts the cards to the bottom and recycles. Lightning Rush trashes.
I see.
So whatever you don't draw from Lightning Rush, you trash.
I see.
And that's where the strength of Last Rites in Kennen comes in, is because since Lightning Rush essentially trashes up to 4 cards from 1 hard casting and 2 flowing, you're filling your trash very heavily for Fizz, you're filling your trash for Last Rites, so you use your trash exponentially well, especially with Rasa, because with that Last Rites, that's basically another free Rasa. And then we're recycling to, get those Nocturnes back in, since you're going to be looking at the deck a lot. And then we're going to conquer here. I'm assuming we're going to be playing a free Rasa from the trash. Yep, there you go.
I mean, that's a pretty good spot to be in.
100%, because now you're forcing the Mbessa to technically not full clear this Risen Altar. It has to at least get rid of the Nocturne, or you're just going to keep getting Conquer value. Because one thing you can do here is only take 1 battlefield and then just shimmy down units from there.
Yeah, right. And the difficult part is if you take something, you also need to be able to defend it because you're playing against a deck that has the ability to ride the wind. And it doesn't matter if you only take 1 and then he holds to 7 and then he just brings the crew over.
Facts.
You're not going to be in a very happy space.
And another Rasa comes down to further protect that battlefield. That's going to be a real tough battlefield to take because, like we said earlier, he has 2 Nocturnes that have ganking. So not only can you ride the wind, you also just gank over.
This would feel like a very great situation to be in blue, where you could play, I forget the name of the card.
Unchecked Powers.
Unchecked Powers and deal 12 to everything. Yeah, that card makes me happy.
And honestly, I'm glad they didn't give a ready legend like Mbessa Unchecked Powers, which specifically says exhaust your units, because then you can unchecked powers, clear their board, use your legend to ready a unit, and then still progress points from there. That would be strong. But you play Mel, so you took the blue away from Mbessa.
Exactly. It does look like we are going to clear this battlefield, but I fear the situation does call for the second battlefield needing to be cleared, and if I'm counting correctly, that is 14 might.
Well, it doesn't need to be cleared. It only needs to get rid of the Nocturne, right? Because the Nocturne has the Last Rites, which holds. You can let him hold since the Rasas do not have ganking, and there's no way to ready units outside of Yellow Fiora and Yellow.
No, I just mean that the problem the Mbessa faces at this point is the fact that they will have to siege this other battlefield, because if you just let Kennen hold 2 turns...
or we can just salvage. I 100% agree, but I think that's not necessarily a problem, because in Yellow-Orange, you have a lot of ways to clear a battlefield, so it's more about how can I hold in those colors, because 2 punch first and
which we do see the punch in the hand,
because like a punch first, the Rampage would go very far, and then you do have Emissary as kind of like a discipline. So I think the Kiku Monk is a 2. Might be a 3. So if it's a 3, punch first gets you to an 8. You can Rampage the Mbessa into a Rasa, and then you clear the battlefield with an Emissary, and you take all the units out from the Kennen, leaving you with only the Mbessa on the battlefield, which would be a really nice position.
That is true. We will see if that is what happens here.
Well, here's 3 for the Rampage, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to pay the power for the Mbessa unless you want the Kinku to have a little bit extra, because then you can put it to the full 10 and clear by itself and then conquer with the Emissary. Ooh, that would be a spicy route if he does that.
I'm waiting. We're tapping and then we're untapping. So we're in the tank here. I mean, this is definitely, I think, the crux of the game. Like, I think the game is going to be lost or won here in the next turn as we approach 8 points. But
we do have a Kale, so I wonder if we're thinking about putting the Kale, readying the Kale.
Okay.
As another form of might. Nope. So we're just going to pass. So basically what the investor is saying is, since, like I said earlier, you cannot ready anything, you're only going to 4 ruins, there's not much you can do. He's basically saying, put everything you have at this battlefield.
But he just hit the cannon that we talked about earlier. There's a yellow cannon at this Mbessa battlefield, which
further makes it tougher for this cannon to try to gank over, and it only goes up to 6 from the cannon legend itself, not enough to get over from Mbessa. You know there's no might pumping or might reducing in cannon colors, and the only thing he can do here is just play a unit, maybe draw something impactful, and hope you can't break here. I would have played this. If you're not playing anything else this turn, I would have just played this Ezreal at the battlefield to further increase my heat. Ezreal does nothing in base if all you're trying to do is just hold here.
Yeah, that's true. And with the 3 units in the back line, there's not going to be a undefended battlefield for you to sneak in on this last point anyway.
Right.
So, unless the plan here was... But even with no cards in hand, yeah, I do think that just playing it to the battlefield, making your number higher, because, I mean, at this point, is kind of what you're depending on, and you're basically passing and saying, can you...
Is that the 3rd Rasa in hand, though?
Yeah, I believe it is.
So, yeah, like, if... Oh, and he sees a Nocturne. Oh, no Nocturne. Must be a Last Rites, then, with the way it's foiled.
Not happy about that peak there.
3rd Rasa. So yeah, I think I would have just played the Ezreal there, because that would have been 9 might that you just added to that battlefield.
You are currently the presented is 22 with the Ezreal. I mean, it's not that much more, but it's definitely substantial.
Right, and then you can always bring the Mbessa back, ready it with the Mbessa, because you're gonna get the Mbessa readied from Kale. You have 3 readies on Kale, which is +6. Kale's a 3 might herself. So that's 9.
We do know about the punch as well.
Right. So you have 9, 7, 16, punch first, 21. Yeah, I think this Mbessa just wins here.
Which is kind of nuts to think. And if I'll be intrigued to see if the number is actually just the Ezreal. That would feel really bad.
That would feel really bad.
If the difference between holding and not holding here is not playing your Ezreal to the battlefield. And I don't know if you've played Slay the Spire 2.
Yeah.
But oftentimes when you lose a run and you realize that you had some trophy potions that you just had up there that you didn't use. This trophy Ezreal is going to feel real bad as it sits and watches all of its friends die.
That's going to be real tragic, because literally this is the last turn of the game. It's either you take it here as the Mbessa, or the cannon just wins on the hold. So putting that Ezreal in base is really going to hurt, because, like I said earlier, it's not doing anything with 3 might in base.
Yeah, right there.
You don't even have 2 to ride the win. So, that would have been the cheeky little, I got you.
It looks like we're doing some counting here, just making sure that it is a done deal. I mean, I guess the thought process is, if you conquer this battlefield, and then because the hidden card was known to be
Rampage.
Okay. The hidden card was known to be Kennen, so maybe the idea is to draw something. I mean, you have a Kennen in the discard, I believe. So maybe you're trying to find something next turn and then get this Ezreal over to take out the other Kennen. Is like the thought process, but it's. I don't know. It is difficult. I mean, with the Rampage coming in the punch in hand. But they only need 1 point. So it's like, where do you find that point?
And that point would have been honing up. So we're going to ready the Mbessa. We have no Empower to KO. So currently it's only 14 might.
14 might plus the
punches.
7 from the punch, right?
5.
5 from punch. Okay.
Yeah, primal strength is 7.
Okay. And 1 card in hand, but no runes on the side of Kennen.
No.
I think the... Oh. We have...
Or we could just start chipping here. Where you just reduce the total might. So that way smaller units get more value, and then your bigger units just take over. Because you really technically only need to chip for 12 here.
That is true.
And then all you got to do is get over 4 from the Nocturne. You have 5 left. 3 of it is probably going to go towards the Kale to give you 5. So you can go Mbessa plus Kale takes out the... or no, you can just punch first the Mbessa to take out the 2 Rasas, and then Empower Kale that takes over the... the Nocturne, and then load up 2 separate battlefields and tell Kennen to have at it.
I'm going to actually see... I think that might be the play. Yeah, it seems like that is the play. Mbessa goes in. We see the punch at the top of the hand here. So the
Thinking
punch...
about it.
Oh, okay, Kale's going to go in too.
Interesting. Okay. We're just going to put the whole team in.
Which I think is a mistake when we talk about the chipping.
Yeah.
I think that just being able to clear both of those and then not have to put the whole squad at risk here, because the Goof Badoof here is going to get the choice of what he wants gone, and it's not as pretty.
So I think what...
I mean, math is for blockers.
No, actually in this game, math is for attackers.
That's tragic. I don't think I like this game anymore. That's tragic.
Because, in this one, once you take the battlefield, it is no longer your math that is needed to take it back. So it's really...
I'm not sure if the readying of the emissary matters here.
It doesn't matter. It's just you have to ready something if you can with the first main. So it's just adding extra might. What the Ezreal didn't do came up. Add extra 3 might, which would have forced Miyuki to play the punch first. He still plays the first mate, still tells you to get over this other battlefield. But
I do actually think at this point we were wrong, given the fact that the Ezreal does have hope of getting this last point in the game. It sounds like when we walked through that, because the punch, obviously we have information that Goof Badoof does not, but we knowing the punch is in the hand, it sounds like that Conqueror is always going to go the way of Mbessa, right? And so leaving back this Ezreal to maybe squeak out that last point here might be what you need, and it looks like it's going to go at the emissary here.
You know what? It could be true, because now Ezreal... No, because he can't play
the Starcross pickup?
He only has 2 runes.
That's true.
So
no, he has a seal.
Seal's not a rune though; it's a power. So yeah,
I guess I didn't know that.
That's why I don't play Jinx anymore. I thought seals gave me extra energy, so I was playing sneaky deckhands on turn 1 and set 1.
But it looks like there will be a attack here. Out of the bin, ride the wind.
He had the ride the wind.
He drew it for turn, I believe, this turn.
Yeah, but as we know, there is a punch first, so I think he's just looking to clear here, so that way, and that's gonna take game. Well, the Mbessa did a real great job of, like I said, putting out units, really making sure they stuck, and then just saying, if you're gonna star-cross me, you're star-crossing 1 unit, and you still have 2 to 3 others to get rid of.
Yeah, right, and I think it did kind of show the flaw in the stack deck. What's the word I'm looking for? It shows the flaw in the filtering, right? Because you can, the amount of times that we looked at the top 3 cards of our library there and took a card was much higher than the manipulation from Mbessa. But, if you're not presenting threats to the board and you're not playing the purple plan of bouncing repeatedly and really interrupting, then at the end of the day your stuff is just smaller.
100%.
Right, and Mbessa is going to come in, and she is going to challenge you, and you're not going to do any damage because of her Legend's ability, her Champion's ability, and you're just going to continuously find yourself in these disadvantageous fights. And so it looks like for the sideboard, maybe some gusts come out, which I have to imagine.
No, I think you keep the gust in.
Well, no, I'm just saying it looks like he's pulling his gusts out.
Oh. Yeah, I think you keep at least 2 gusts to stop the early game potential from Mbessa. You keep him off point checks. You also get to reuse your stuff because he is playing Tide Turners, I believe, is what we saw earlier.
But that is so interesting. Pulling out all the gusts and then pulling out one of your hard bargains.
Well, because you're not... The hard bargain I can see coming out.
Yeah.
Because if you're only looking a hard bargain to punch first, you probably lost that battlefield anyways.
Yeah.
And Ezreal's the type of, or not Ezreal, Ken is the type of deck that just looks to might is right, and I'll just put more units than you.
Yeah.
But Ambassador says, well, if might is right, I'm the mightiest. So you better put enough out there because I will punch you first, I'll punch you twice, and then I'm going to rampage in between.
Should I play Seals and Mel?
It depends on what you're doing. So seals are for decks who like to consume power. So Ezreal's playing seals, right? Because you can play a seal off the energy you floated the seal, use a lightning rush or a stack deck, and then if you see a nocturne, you're using the seal for the nocturne.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Or you're using the seal for the Rasa, or using the seal for equipping Last Rites, right? If you're only looking to go down 1 rune a turn or no runes a turn, and you can effectively get to that 8 to 10 rune mark, seals will do nothing but just convolute your deck because it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, which is help you get to the later end of the game.
Yeah. If you're not playing a very hungry power.
Right. If you're on 2 rebukes, 2 switcheroos, 100% play seals.
Yeah.
Because now you're looking to hide cards. Your cards cost 2 power.
I didn't even think about the interaction of being able to use your seal to hide a card.
Yep. Anything that requires a power, you can use seals.
Well, I guess maybe I should be playing seals then because it makes my rebuttal be able to take control without the cost of 2 runes. So it turns rebuttal into a functional defy that allows me to take control of the spell. It'll be interesting. It looks like we are going to keep the flash.
If you're not playing researchers in your Mel, I would suggest playing researchers.
Okay.
Because when researchers are empowered, your spells cost 1 and a power less.
Okay.
But to a minimum of 1. So it just turns rebuttal into 1 and a power to take something.
Does look like both people here having a
very fast start.
Yeah. Does look like we're going to get in with the merchant early. Triggered a discard.
And it looks like a Seed of Power. Nope, that is going to be a treasure hoard. We're going to pay 1 for a gold. What is our top 1? Is that a Sandswept Tomb? Interesting. So we're seeing 2 new battlefields from Mbessa. So Sandswept Tomb, I believe, is reaction spells with combats here, cost 1 extra power.
And that is, I believe, why we're going to see that flash hit the bin.
Yes. Flash hitting the bin, and that's going to be critical for combats that involve, like, Starcross, combats that involve Ride the Wind, even stack deck, because now your stack deck costs an extra power. Or no, stack deck's not a reaction, it's an action.
Ooh.
So that's the difference.
I believe that was a rampage. I can't quite see with the glare.
Yes.
But clearing both of those early units out from under Kennen while you're holding as Mbessa has to be a dream situation.
Oh, 100%. Like, I feel like any orange deck that can go turn 1, play a dude, turn 2, play rampage is always in the dream team spot, because that's really strong in a game like this, because now he's going to be able to conquer, hold, and progress his board without worrying about a unit dying in his base.
And, I mean, I believe there is another rampage in the hand.
The dream.
Which is, like, pretty brutal here as the Kennen comes down. We will ready here. And Nope.
Each spell that chooses 1 or more units here costs 1 power less.
Retreating out.
Which is really strong because now your Rampage is pay 3 and give a friendly unit +2. Your Punch First now only costs 1 in a power. So that's going to be really strong.
I'm actually intrigued now that we talk about it. Is there an advantage to be playing Seals in this yellow-orange deck, given how hungry it is on runes?
100%. Because your Seals can pay for your Legend, since your Legend requires you to disempower, use a power, and then tap her, exhaust her, and ready a unit. So Seals can definitely go into
I feel like
this.
orange Seals could be good in Mbessa with the punches. And, I mean, I guess it's all right. I mean, like you said, though, at what cost, right? You're taking 3 very powerful cards probably out of your deck to put in functionally power mana rocks. So, do you just want to be playing more units, I guess, is the question as Mbessa.
Yeah.
But it does look like we are going to put the Kennen on that Sandswept Tomb.
Give it Ride the Wind. So, like, this is where Kennen kind of shows its strength, right? Because you conquer 1, give it flow, ride the wind. Ride the wind to the other battlefield, ready it, conquer again, give something else flow, like this Lightning Rush, so you don't use the flow to reduce your ruins. You're just using it for 1 instead of 2. And you also get to move the Kennen back, which protects itself in base. Well, you are facing orange, so Rampage and Challenge just don't care about your base. But that is another way to protect it in these colors that don't necessarily like to fight on defense.
I'm not quite sure what the disagreement was there, but there was a brief disagreement between the players. It looks like it has been resolved, as we do see a Traveling Merchant and a Fizz hit the bin. But we have our friend here.
And that was off of the Lightning Rush without flow.
Yeah.
I believe now we're going to cast the Lightning Rush with flow. Because he did give 1 flow, so normally it would probably be a little more courteous to put the flow card from Kennen on the side of your trash, just so that way we can always remember which card has the flow targets.
Yeah.
So that way it's not like, are you using this from the flow or the flow?
Yeah, right. I mean, keeping track when you're manipulating your trash is important. Thankfully, it doesn't matter a whole bunch in this situation, but it will bin the Starcross and Ezreal to pick up a second seal, and opts not to play the seal.
That is... Yeah, you're putting units and spells in trash since you have Last Rites and Kennen and stuff like that with Fizz. So the seal makes more sense since you're just going to use the seal to play the seal.
Mbessa does go in, though, for the Conquer to 3. No Ride the Wind in orange.
No, not unless you're Set or Lucian. Their signature spells is similar.
That cannot feel good as the Kennen there. The public execution followed up by the challenge.
Yeah, the removability from this Mbessa has been really strong these past 2 games.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, when I read Mbessa at pre-Rift, I didn't realize that you could use fight spells in this manner with the Mbessa. I just thought Mbessa was going to be like kind of bring 1v1 me at the battlefield. I'm not dealing with any, like damage-based removal. You just have to come fight me or bounce me. And I didn't realize this interaction with the fight spells, because this is actually very oppressive to be able to say, okay.
Yeah, well, with orange yellow not really being the Yi, right? Because Mbessa can go in Yi. You don't have charm to say, cool, come to me, right? So orange having the damage-based removal is really strong for the orange-based Mbessa. And then you have the yellow that complements it very well by saying, cool, whatever I can't fight, I'll just kill it outright. I'll just use a Hidden Blade. I'll use a Cold of Weak. I'll use a Vengeance. I won't even have to fight it. Well, here we go. Mbessa's really showing a strong contention, taking control of battlefields, just really telling this Kennen, it doesn't care what unit you play. I have the answers. You're not going to be able to fight me. Do your best.
Does look like the Fizz is going to come out, paying the power with the first seal.
Yeah, and since we're tapping 2 seals, I assume it's going to be a Starcross. Get this Mbessa off the field.
We're doing a little bit of digging. Maybe the return doesn't
Rebuke does the same thing while keeping a fizz, and all you do is return 1. Yep.
Yeah.
And then we're going to see that repulse. Yeah. Or is that disposable orders? That looks like disposable orders.
Yes.
So what's happening here is Fizz is targeting the Rebuke in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
That is the chain on the stack. Before Rebuke is being resolved by the Fizz, we're going to disposable orders the trash. So that way we're going to target the Rebuke. We're going to target a Starcross and a Lightning Rush. And then those are going to get recycled to the bottom. And this Fizz isn't going to do anything.
I'm a bit confused why the seal's untapped there.
Because you're not casting the Rebuke. So you don't have the 2 energy to pay. So, like, technically, we could say that he has the
because it's like
seals.
the targeting of Snapcaster Mage of the spell, but he
Right.
didn't actually cast the spell.
Correct.
It was on the target he was able to recycle those cards.
Exactly.
I see.
And normally, if we're at a high OPL, you can shark it by saying since you tap the seals, you only have those floating. You don't have the untap because now you have new information. But this is a Nexus 9.
Well, because like my argument here would be like maybe I wanted to tap my second seal instead of recycling my rune.
Well, so you have to pay 1 for the Fizz.
Yeah, but he
Right.
could pay with the seal, right? And then on the target, he's recycled a rune and paid a seal.
That's where we're saying like the sharking's coming in and stuff like that. Since you already met the requirements of Fizz, the best we could do as a rewind without calling a judge for this or making too much banter is just untapping the seals.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, when does the playing of the cost of that star cost, or when does the playing of the cost of the star crossed happen? That was a fun one to say.
What do you mean paying for the
So like he paid the mana for the Fizz, and then he paid for the star crossed, and then
the Rebuke?
with the Rebuke, and he paid all those costs at once. So my question is, could he have played the Fizz and then declared the target and then not paid the second cost?
Correct. So that's essentially what the rewind of the seal was.
Yeah.
The Kennen player essentially fast-tracked and took the priority away from the Mbessa by saying, I'm casting Rebuke, I'm paying 2 for the Rebuke, I'm playing Rebuke.
Yeah.
Didn't give the reaction time for the Mbessa, where normally it's I play Fizz, target Rebuke. Cool. Does this chain resolve? Yes.
Yeah.
Now I'll cast a Rebuke paying the 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what the punishment for that was? You get your
disposable ordered.
you get a disposable ordered. You watch that Lightning Rush hit the bottom of your deck, which is unfortunate here because there is no shuffling, so that is sitting on the bottom until you maybe find a way. Which I guess if there was a deck to get to the bottom of the library, it is Kennen.
It is Kennen.
That is true.
Kennen and Jinx go through their deck so fast.
But I mean, I'm gonna be honest here. This is a pretty oppressive situation from the Mbessa. I mean, Mbessa is holding. We got pretty full grip over here, but Nocturne is one to help solve it. But like you said, never want to be in the case of hard casting that.
Yeah, and that's probably why this Mbessa has been showing a great case. I'm assuming this is what's being called is the Miracle Kennen, right? You're looking through 6 different cards that can play a Nocturne on turn 1. This type of deck falls very fast to removal-based decks like Mbessa. So as you saw, if you can just pick off their early game, keep them off of points, keep them off of synergy, all they're doing is just playing little units, and then they have to progressively play their big units. Like their biggest unit is a 10 energy that requires a trash.
Yeah.
So if you can just constantly keep that pressure, telling them, cool, everything you're doing now is just a setup for your inevitable defeat, you're in a great spot.
Yeah, and it looks like a public execution coming out. Is public execution has flow, correct? It looks
yes.
Yes, I would say it looks like it came
flow.
out of the trash there, and the Starcross will be the response.
Yep, and then there's the orange counterspell. Now I'm forgetting the name all of a sudden.
If you are watching this stream and you can recognize the name of that orange counterspell, first of all, make sure that I don't like Jeff Bezos, and you shouldn't like Jeff Bezos either. And if you enjoy our weekly Riftbound locals, you could drop your Twitch Prime to take money out of Jeff Bezos' pockets and help support your local game store. So first off, drop that Twitch Prime. Second off, drop the name of the counterspell to help us here and remember what that is. But it does look like Mbessa at 7 is probably going to take this. Like you said, the Miracle Kennen. Unfortunately, there is the games where you play with Kennen where you don't see a Nocturne. in those top 6, and you were really sad. And like you said, you pick it off and Lacerate, very good card. Set the tone. Oh,
Repulse. There we go. Thank you. I might be butchering this, but Chamblis.
Do you think it has like the accented S there, like Chamblis or Chambliss? We talked about how English is a messed up
You're
language.
right. I don't think there's no accent.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah, so no accent. Probably just a regular S.
Second one.
Yep. No accent.
Hate to see it. Does look like the Fizz is going to go for the Conquer here. Up to 4. A mighty 4 here.
Well, that's a start.
Yeah.
Because now I'm assuming, yep, we're going to... Did we bounce the Mbessa? Where did the Mbessa go?
The Mbessa is in hand. It was star-crossed with the Fizz.
And I'm assuming we have a Ride the Wind in hand, and then we're going to Ride the Wind over to Treasure Hoard, not pay Treasure Hoard, and then play a Rasa, I'm assuming.
I think we only have one card in hand.
Oh, no, we passed.
I did just hear an audible cough.
Yeah, that was the Kennen. Just out there in different lanes, not farming.
Dude, farming on Kennen's hard, though. Like, if you're not fed, and then you just, like, try to E through the wave and W, but you're, like, behind and you do no damage, especially if it's, like, supers.
That's probably one of the funniest things I like to watch as a mid laner is when you just watch that Kennen poke you, go back, do nothing to your back wave, and then as a brand player, you just go W-E, cool.
Oh, so you're a brand player?
Oh, I'm a brand player.
Okay, but are you playing brand as an ADC right now?
APC, yes.
I mean, let's be real. ADCs, they're not even real anymore, okay? That's like 2016 Magic. Like,
oh, no.
Can you imagine if we were playing APCs in Madison Square Garden with TSM versus CLG?
If you're playing a squishy ADC, you just don't matter, but...
Okay.
Well, we replayed the Mbessa to Treasure Hoard. We're hiding a card. Do you think it's another Yellow Cannon, or is it a Hidden Blade?
I think it's another Yellow Cannon.
Think it's another Yellow Cannon?
I mean, I think the Yellow Cannon here is a checkmate. Like, how do you ever usurp this Mbessa when you have to get through a Yellow Cannon that's going to stun whatever you bring?
Hunter, well, we do get a hold from this Fizz, so we're getting at least one unit back, which can be a Fizz. I think you have to play this Fizz here, unless we see what's in hand that changes something, but I don't...
Ezreal comes down.
All right, so we're just going to see if we can draw some cards.
Okay.
Get some more answers. We're at the one card in hand. Yep. Existential
Pick
Dread.
up two.
A seal is not what you want to see. That might be a traveling merchant. So those are just two cards that do not get you somewhere. His third card. Let's see what the third card is.
And I mean, Mbessa's over there shaking their head.
Lightning Rush.
You have to be happy about seeing a seal come out of those two cards.
Oh, 100%.
The Lightning Rush you're probably not so happy about. A Nocturne here would not be good for you to see. But it does not look like a Nocturne is there. Or maybe... I can't tell.
So, yeah, I 100% think that off of this last rites, you play a Fizz, so that way you can star-cross the Fizz and Mbessa, which lets you replay the Fizz to get a Ride the Win, which I'm assuming we saw in there, if he shuffles one more time.
I mean, the hard part, though, is, like, how do you beat this inevitability that is the... Like, you can bounce it.
Well, you have the last rites. So this would have been the Kennen's way to start chipping points back, right?
Yeah.
So you play the Fizz off of the last rites, you hit a star-cross, bounce Fizz and Mbessa.
We did just hit the Starcross off the top, though, if he chooses to take that.
But you have no more ruins. Like, best you can do...
Well, he has 5 ruins currently.
Yeah, but 3 of them has to go to Starcross, which leaves you with 2, and you don't have a Ride the Win in hand.
And there does look like the concession, so that'll be a 2-0 for the Mbessa.
Going back to the start of that turn, I personally think the Kennen players should last rites a Fizz to Starcross the Mbessa, because that way you have Fizz to replay again, giving you another option at your trash, right? And then seeing if you have a Ride the Win, you could technically Ride the Win over, see what that hidden card is, or even just play Fizz and... he took his Gust out. See if there's I think he just has to either have 2 Starcross or a Fizz Starcross the Ambessa into a Ride win. Just hope that that's not a Kennen there, and then rescore again and play a Rasa out of the last rights.
And I think the really devastating play in that game, because I do think Riftbound is a game where you can very like pointedly find the point at which the game turned. I think the removing of the Rebuke from the yard or from the trash along with those other 2 cards was kind of, I don't want to say the point, but I think that was one of the major points where having that ability to remove something that is trying to be, I mean, it's a wasted Fizz.
Yes.
Right? And I think that in this matchup, wasting a Fizz is so detrimental because you really want to get in situations, especially without the Gust. It's really hard to loop your Fizzes if you're not resolving something like your, Starcross. There we go. You're resolving the Starcross to get the multiple uses out of the Fizz. I mean, that's the best part. That's why you're playing Seals, to pay those additional power costs. And if you're not able to loop it, I mean, the worst spot for a Fizz to be is on the board with no ability to get it back to your hand. Because at that point, you're just playing a 3 cost, 3 might unit. And that's all right, but that's not going to beat an Ambessa.
Right. I 100% agree with you. The removal with the the disposable orders of the Rebuke was definitely the clincher and stopped Kennen from any easy route back into the game. I think the true turning point in this game was when we saw the double removal play from Ambessa, where it was a Rampage and a public execution.
Yeah, that was turn 3.
Right.
Yeah, but you just take the legs right out from under him.
Took the legs. Kennen was not able to reestablish after that. You had constant pressure, and then you found 2 more pieces of removal after that too. Like, Kennen wasn't able to stay on the board.
And the thing is, we saw Kennen get to do his thing for a minute, right? Like, he came out, he was able to go to the battlefield, and then he was able to ride the wind to the other battlefield, and he came back, and he thought he was safe, and it didn't really matter, right? Like, he
lightning only strikes for a matter of seconds, and in this game, couple of turns is that couple of seconds you need, and unlike Thunder that stays around for the storm, Kennen was not able to get there at the end.
I like that. I also think it's just, when you're playing the Miracle Kennen, you're really hoping that you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and there's 2 Nocturnes there, and you take the other card, you put 2 Nocturnes with ganking onto the battlefield, and you win the game, because, I mean, it's pretty difficult to beat that.
100%.
So,
especially without the card draw of, like, the difference between Miracle Kennen and Miracle Draven is even though that Miracle Kennen has more ways to technically do the Miracle aspect of the deck, Draven had a lot more ways to put more cards back in its hand.
Yeah.
Especially since it had the Called Shot Ezreal combo, but the Legend itself is really what supplemented that strategy, because even if you don't hit those Nocturnes, as we saw in Kennen, the rest of the deck was able to draw cards to get you to that point. So, like, your Hardcast Nocturnes, draw a card. Your Traveling Merchants can now draw you a card because you could just equip it with a Spinning Axe, get over some people. And a Spinning Axe probably would have helped get over some Ambessas today.
Yeah, I just think they should print a Traveling Merchant that is Hui, and that card would be a lot better.
Yeah, but if you put that in purple, that's way too
Okay,
strong.
but hear me out. What if it's just a Traveling Merchant
They
that has, like, one of the abilities?
But they do.
Okay.
They have a 6 mana, or 6 energy, 1 chaos power unit. Do not know what it's called, but when it moves, each player discards a card or each player draws a card. It is our Rankle Prankmaster, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
From Magic.
The fairy that terrorized Standard, yes.
Yep. So, but unfortunately in Riftbound, the 6 energy is probably a little too expensive to be playing something of that caliber. That has to be more of like a 5, maybe a 3 energy to really make impact in this game.
But are we getting a second feature match that we're hopping over? Okay, we've just been told that the second
how
feature
much
match.
round timer do we have left?
We're gonna
How much
take
round timer do we have?
6 minutes.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna take a 5-minute break. See how the rest of the rounds are going, and rest of the matches are going, and then we'll be back with round 3 in about 10 minutes or so.
All right, sounds good.
And we're back to round 3. So that was a really strong performance by Mbessa last round.
You know, and from what as someone who peaked outside of the stream room, I think we're going to have a combination of round 1 and round 2. And actually, the winners of both of those games are going to be heading off in round 3 as we see a Diana versus Mbessa. So I'll actually be pretty curious to see how this plays out. My initial thought is I think Diana is favored because I think that beating Mbessa in combat has never been easier with blue cards.
Yeah, so seeing the amount of removal that this Mbessa had last round, I don't quite know who's favored anymore because Mbessa having Rampage has the answers to Hui in the base, right?
Okay.
Has answers to Swain in the base. Mbessa having Lacerate has answers to Diana in the base.
That is true.
Has answers to students.
Good old-fashioned dice
Right.
roll, a 5.
Public execution is another great way, but one thing we do have to be careful of is, like you said, Diana's in blue. It has the Eclipse. It has the Stupefies. We don't know if it has a smoke screen. So those are great ways to get around Mbessa's damage-based removal. Okay. Here you go. Both just went through their mulligans.
Yep.
Diana is on the start, so there's no turn 1 Diana, but there is a turn 1 Tide Turner.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably the worst 2-drop to come out, but putting a unit out on turn 1 regardless to conquer on turn 2 is worth it.
Honestly, that's probably your strongest 2-drop to come out.
You
'cause
think on turn 1?
Yes.
Oh,
Because in Starcross,
Oh, that's true.
it's the most wanted 2-drop to Starcross. So you can score here and Starcross the kill.
I guess then you're immediately hiding it, yeah.
Right, and then now you're going back to hiding it. It's not like a Raven student that you want on the field. It's not a traveling merchant that you want on the field. It's something that you want continuous use out of. And
Yeah.
if you can score a point, put it back in your hand, hide it, it's the best case scenario.
Yeah, you know what? I'll take that all. We're
But
learning.
If you
Because
don't
I
have-
wouldn't have played that first in Diana. I would have, if it was my only 2, I would still would have held it. But I mean, that makes sense as you explain.
And then, but also knowing that it is Mbessa and it is set 4, it is probably your strongest 2-drop start because of Lacerate. So if you would have started with a Ravenbloom student, that's a quick way to get it, taken off the map real quick.
Yeah, that's true. We did watch that happen in the last game. Yeah,
Yep.
that was pretty rough. The double removal spell.
So like I think what Diana wants to do here is just play all of its mid-impactful units, whereas like the Tide Turner, because now it's a mini lightning rod for your opponent's spells, and it's a great Starcross for your spells. You have your Diana, which is just your champion, so there's not much utility you're losing there. And then you're just going to keep playing stuff. Like I wouldn't even imagine playing a Porobot as a play just so that way you're getting use out of it before it gets sniped.
Yeah, I am a little. I would be intrigued here. It looks like we're playing some gear hate in the main over on the Diana side, and I don't know that there's many targets in the Mbessa deck for the gear hate.
If it's acceptable losses that is known to be played, or Turn to Dust. Yeah, Turn to Dust is going to be a tough one in this match. Acceptable Losses at least has the action capability of being a +1 for Ravenbloom student, but Turn to Dust does not have that action capability, so it's just going to be a dead card that you're going to pitch to Traveling Merchant and play the first moment.
I guess
you
that
can.
is the benefit is that I mean, it could be better, right? Obviously, you'd prefer to be pitching like a card with flow or something that maybe you're getting back with Fizz. But I guess, in a deck where you are so often discarding cards from your hand, it's not terrible, right? To be stuck with that because, like you said, you're going to get rid of it to a Hui or a Traveling Merchant. And, discarding a spell to Hui is never bad because you get to draw 2 more cards.
Yep.
So, although those runes look awesome. Are those the Vendetta secret runes?
No, those I believe are the Unleashed.
Okay, those ones look awesome on the blue runes. So
No, the rune game in this game is real spicy. I do think Vendetta though has the best rune to foil ratio, where the whole picture just seems like it fits.
is that the one with the little like flowers in there?
No, that's Spirit Forge.
Dude, the Spirit Forge ones. Every time I see those ones are sick.
Are fire. Like, if they ever print me a dark mode Spirit Forge where the petals are the brighter end of it, like how we have oil slicks in Magic, that would be perfect set for me right there. I would drop cash on that.
Although I do have beef with oil slicks because then I gotta like police what people are tapping color wise because you can't tell. But anyway, back to Riftbound here as our slight foray into Magic. We do see the Swain come down. And I'm probably not very happy.
Are empowering the Mbessa?
The Mbessa, I believe, was empowered last turn.
Mbessa can be powered up to 3 times. So, and then the
because of the Kale ability.
Yep.
Yes.
Or the Kale, not the Mbessa. Sorry, Kale can be powered up to 3 times. Mbessa is as long as it's disempowered.
Once again, are we just just scooping it up?
Did you know?
Oh, did we leave the sideboard in? Yes. Okay, so that was the problem, is that we left the sideboard in.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, what? I don't even understand.
And I believe the Dyna player did concede. That would technically be a game
Maybe
loss.
that's why we saw Turn to Dust.
No, that's what I'm saying, because he showed his hand and he had 2 of them.
Yeah, well, it would be a game loss if you had sideboard pieces in. Nexus Knight, usually most people don't even realize what could or could not be sideboard pieces, so we definitely could have just played through that. But these are high-end players. They understand what they're doing, and they just want the fair game.
Yeah, right, and I think, that's a pretty unfortunate situation to find yourself in.
At least now than in the skirmish or RQ.
Yeah.
Learning pains.
Yeah, right. You'd much rather have this happen here than in a situation where you're playing for a best of, right? Yeah. Those cards are
or you could be like a Rumble at Hartford and not face half of your matches and still be at the best of. That was a legendary story. Whoever got that Rumble at Hartford, great job, man. Most people probably would have dropped towards the end of it seeing what you went through, but nice way sticking it through.
The one thing I'm a bit curious about on Riftbound is I do feel like sometimes because of the best of cards, you're like incentivized to not try to win the event, but just like show up with the anime girl character and try to win it feels bad when the winner of the event gets a prize that's not actually the most valuable, because like the person who showed up with like Ari gets like an Ari best of, and then it's like
Yeah, they did make changes to that though. Now you have to day 2 in order to get the best of, so it's not like I just went day 1 and I got 3 wins as a Garen versus the 2 wins on the other person I still got best of, right? You still have to make day 2. So they still have that. And then I love that you said the incentives to just play the best deck or the anime lady, right? Because now that best ofs are rotating out, so like Origins and Proving Grounds, like as a Yi player, if I go to RQ Los Angeles, I will not get a best of Yi. I have to top 64, I believe, to get my champs invite in order to get a top best of Yi again.
Okay.
So that's going to play a big part into these RQs and these bigger events, like our Showdown series. Because now it's, do I play the best deck, which I could think is Yi, or do I play a gimmick deck to get the best of?
Which I think the competitive Magic player in me sees the value in creating meta diversity, but I think you just create 2 different sets of players. I think you create the set of players that's going for the best of, and I think you have players that are going to win the tournament. And especially when we saw the situation with the best of Kaisa splitting like Scandal, where like they said they were going to split no matter who got the Kaisa, but then they didn't split the Kaisa. It can create issues. I like the idea. I'll be intrigued to see how Riot continues to refine the process, because I think that the initiative of creating not necessarily like forcing meta diversity, but encouraging people to play decks that aren't just the best deck, can kind of like solve the Queen's game theory problem of like, what do you do? Like in chess, if everyone could pick a piece and play all their pieces, they would always choose the queen, right? And in collectible card games, usually the barrier to like everyone playing the best deck is unfortunately money and the chance of pulling them from booster packs. But as we get back into the game here, I looked away for 1 second, and Tide Turner's already out. He's conquered.
Turn 2.
Yeah, Diana's out again.
We have the Targons untapped. That's why we still see the 3 up from the Diana. Well, that was a weird way to say Diana. Diana. But no, I do agree with you on like the best ofs and the player natives and stuff like that, and seeing the player base grow each set is nice. But
I mean, I got hooked, and it's Vendetta. So what is it, set 4?
Yep, set 4.
So I got hooked in set 4.
And I just feel like that Riot and UVS is doing a great job with Riftbound and keeping it in tandem with what League of Legends actually is. Like,
I agree.
Riftbound really feels like a League of Legends card game rather than just a TCG from League of Legends.
And I think that, Riot laid such a good foundation with Legends of Runeterra. Like, they figured out what worked, what people liked, and obviously that wasn't a profitable venture for Riot, but I think it laid the foundation for them to create a profitable venture that the community here...
3 Moonfalls in the Diana's hand?
I did happen to see a couple Moonfalls.
Yeah, I saw 2 for sure. But
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, the Ambessa player has 2 sabotages in their hand, so he might get a peek and realize the Moonfalls are there.
This might be a game where we actually see double sabotages in this matchup, because Orange has Sabotage and the Orange Decree, which can get cards out of Diana's hand. So that's 6 cards to rip apart.
I mean, that'd be pretty good. I mean, if I was going to rip apart a Diana hand, it would want to start with 3 Moonfalls.
Well, I mean,
I guess not necessarily.
Technically, leave the Moonfalls since they can fizz them back anyways.
That's true.
And you just start taking the more impactful, because if you're leaving Moonfalls, that's kind of up the Ambessa's game plan of fighting. So if all I got to do is punch first through a Moonfall, I'll do that all day long.
Yeah.
But I can't punch first through a Starcross. I can't punch first through a Gust, a Rebuke. So I think those are going to be more of your prime targets.
Yeah, that's true. As it looks like the decision here is whether or not to conquer with the Diana. We do opt to conquer here at the tomb once again. So we will go to 3. And it looks like we're going to tap 4 here to play the Moonfall.
Yeah. So there's Moonfall number 1.
Yes.
This Ambessa is going to go to a 2. It's now 2 to 3.
Yeah.
So we don't play anything here.
Do we see... I see. He tapped 4.
Yeah, he already had 1 tapping, and then just tapped a 3 with the extra 1 too.
I mean, that is not the ideal way to start this Ambessa game, but it does look like we're going to see the bad news here.
So this is a great way to start the turn, since the Diana can use the Legend for an extra ruin.
Yeah.
Yep, so it was 3 Moonfalls. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's such a great hand. So
and
yeah,
it does look like... Are we going to take the second one with the second? I mean, I would. I would not want to play through another Moonfall. At that point, you know that the only way he gets another Moonfall back is the Fizz, though. Although he does just Rengar here.
Yeah, I would rather just start getting units on the board.
That's true.
Even if you Moonfall, Tide Turner is not beating Rengar. Stupefy is not beating Rengar. And there's no Ride the Wind, so you're not afraid of a Hui right now.
Show me the smoke screen. Okay, but why did we reveal the second Stupefy?
Diana. So when a showdown starts at Diana's battlefield, they can pay the 1 to reveal top card, or predict first, and then reveal. If the revealed is a spell, they draw.
That is correct. For some reason, I had thought he played the Stupefy and drew a card, and then he was showing the second one. I was like, that card is not known information, but that is my bad, as we do go for the second Conquer here.
No, and then we're just doing a good old Nexus Knight special, just leaving the hand revealed for the opponent. Don't have to write down any notes.
Hey, it makes our life
too
easier.
much hard. 100%, because now we know almost every card he draws. But this is when
there's no brainstorm to shift up the hand in this game yet.
Not yet.
I would actually really like a Brainstorm in this game because you would always get Brainstorm locked. And I think that is an interesting way. Like, if there's no shuffling, Brainstorm is actually a fair card.
No.
Because think about it. Think if Kennen could, like, Brainstorm, put 2 Nocturnes on top, and then play a Lightning.
And that's I think that's why I wouldn't be in Kennen's colors if there was a Brainstorm.
That's
Brainstorm
fair.
would
That's
definitely
fair.
be blue. It's just
Is that just the Magic player talking in you, though?
Me?
Yeah. Like,
No,
oh,
Brainstorm.
okay.
So drawing cards is more pertains to blue's color in this game.
Okay.
Like, without conditions, and if it's just a pure draw spell, it's always been blue. Outside of Lunar Boom, but that's a discard draw too, so
Yeah.
it's just a spell version of Ezreal. I don't think they would put it in purple specifically because then you could unlock yourself with stack deck.
That's true.
So you just do the whatever it's.
It looks like we
what
do
it'd
get
be
to see the
called,
one
and then
card that was in
stack deck it
hand.
out.
We're going to gust the first mate.
Yep, make us use this cannon now.
Yep.
Cool. And now that you know it's a cannon, you cannot use its effect. I believe cannon's a 2 might, so it trades with a Tide Turner.
Well, you have a Stupefy here, right?
Yep. And then you just use this Tide Turner to untrade itself and draw a card.
Yep. And now,
of course, he puts it off screen, so we don't know what it is.
it's a tragedy, but understandable. I do think we're still going to run into some issues here because I'm not exactly sure what the solution to Rengar is. But as I say that, the answer was the card we drew, which is a Hui.
Well, he already had the Hui.
Did he have the Hui already?
Yeah,
Oh, I see. That's the card.
Now
I
he
have.
puts it back on screen.
guess.
But Hui is the start. But as we saw in the last game, Ambessa was just rampage and challenge all day long if it needs to. And I believe there is a rampage, which gives it an extra +2, so it cannot be stupefied by the Diana.
Ooh, the Star-Crossed.
Oh, that's a great target. And this is another way to answer Rengar is to Star-Cross it. Relatively without them being able to play it, so that way you don't just throw away a card.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, at this point, though, you have shown the card that you didn't have, and we do know that there's a second Sabotage in Mbessa's hand. So the real question is, does Mbessa feel the need to take the Stupefy or the Moonfall? Or, and I think we might be, nope, okay.
Yeah, no, we just challenged her to get rid of the Hui. Since there's no Stupefy being able to use here, you just get that out.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I mean, both... Oh. Sorry, I was listening to them. They started talking out there, so I was, like, zoned in. But, yes, I'm a bit curious at this point to see... I mean, there's a public execution. We know about the Rengar. I mean, Rengar feels like a problem for this Diana deck, though.
Yeah, but it's been answering it pretty nicely so far. As long as there's 5 ruins up for the Ambessa player, all you have to do is just play units and pass, and that's how you get right around a Rengar.
This is the Mbessa that won me my pre-rift.
Hey, Yellow Mbessa is a great hit here.
Yeah.
So, like, one thing that Yellow Mbessa can do is remove units through combat.
Mm-hmm.
So... if the Diana player does not hold these Stupefies and these Eclipses for the right moment, then Mbessa can just start clearing boards.
Yeah, right. And I think that the important thing to remember here is that Mbessa has made it to this point in the match, even on points, which is, I mean, I feel like...
That's where you want to be?
Yeah, right? Like, these purple-blue decks really want to take those early point leads and then mess around, keep you bouncing, try to tempo you out.
Right.
And if you have a Rengar in your hand, you're playing yellow Mbessa, I mean, you're just playing haymakers. It feels pretty good. Like, when your opponent's just cycling off a Stupefy to draw a card.
And then we have a Moonfall Stupefy to trade with the Mbessa. I like that. Get it off the board now, so that way you can progress next turn.
But that's... What is that? That's a 3-for-1?
That's purple blue specifically does not have great removal options, especially if you're not playing Singularity, which is probably one of your best removal options. But it is expensive for a deck like Diana, though. That's not what you really want to be doing. Is a tempo-based deck is using your whole turn instead of playing a swing, playing a Singularity, especially if your opponent's not playing that Rengar.
That's true, but the Singularity just solves so many. I think it's worth playing at least one.
Most usually do in the sideboard.
Yeah.
but when Moonfall answers the same targets that
That's true.
Singularity does, that's usually the route that they take. But as we switch to Mel, you'll start seeing more Singularities, so you can just rebuttal their answers.
I do happen to play 2 Singularities in Mel.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a strong card moving forward.
Although I am liking the amount of runes this orange-yellow deck has out currently, because that means that you're pretty worried about the Rengar. We do get the bounce here, which is good for the tempo.
And we just play the Rengar so we can still get the point. Yep.
Yeah. That's actually, I didn't realize that was an interaction you could do, but we do take the ride the wind.
The Rengar interactions go insane. So, like, one thing you can do with Rengar, as a Yi player, say my...
oh my gosh. The
challenge. Yeah, see, like we did last game, and this is all in the same showdown. So this Tide Turner is not going to score.
We have a hard
he has
bar.
the 4.
Well, yeah, but how many times can you replay the hard bargain here?
Only once.
Oh,
so
I see.
You can only repeat once.
It's not like multi-kicker?
No. There's no multi-kicker yet.
Is he just going to force him to pay the 4? He's going to say tap out to get your point? I mean, I think you have to, right? Like,
this is the only play. Because if he loses this Tide Turner, I think Mbessa just wins the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty difficult at that point, which would be a tragic end considering Game 1 ended
But if
so
I
quickly.
was the Mbessa, I would do it. Like, you're way ahead on tempo. Your ruined economy is amazing right now in this type of matchup. You've answered everything your opponent has done up to this point. Like, just keep the board clear.
And I mean, like, he has 4 cards, one of which is a public execution, and another one is a sabotage, and Diana has 1 card in their hand. And so he's just going to take the public execution for the Tide Turner. Also gets the job done.
Gets the job done. Still lets you play a 2-drop so you can progress points next turn.
So what are you trying to draw here if you're Diana then to get you back into the game? What's your heart of the cards moment?
Seeing as we have a Ride the Wind in the hand, I think what you want to draw here is a Fizz, so that way you can start your Starcross looping.
Okay.
Because then you can just go Fizz, Starcross the Rengar in the Fizz, and then you can just Ride the Wind the Fizz. On the following turns, start setting up for when that Rengar gets replayed again, because at that moment it can only get played to base until you start moving into a battlefield. Yeah. And then from there, it's just a matter of...
Boom.
Yep, and there we go. There's no more units for that Diana to draw, and Mbessa was able to lock it down.
Yeah. I mean, obviously not the super climactic final we were hoping for, but I think a great showcase of the sportsmanship here, recognizing that the sideboard was in Game 1, letting the opponent know, restarting the game from Game 2.
Yep.
Obviously didn't go the way you wanted, but like we talked about, yellow, orange, very strong removal suite right now.
Yep.
Kind of a worst case scenario for a for a champion that costs 3 with these new removal pieces. I mean, Diana gets picked off, and if you're not getting that, stacked deck value off of Diana, if you're playing the Diana and then getting time walked because she's instantly removed, it's going to be pretty difficult to get to that late game where you're riding the wind and getting the multiple Hui activations and setting up your Swain win condition. And so that's, we're going to see a good old Timmy-style Riftbound deck here, just play creatures and kill people.
And the one thing the Mbessa did really well in both showcases against Purple was that Purple does not do well without units.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a very supportive color. It's not a very dominating color. Its domination comes from the fact that it tempos you out with Starcross, it tempos you out with card advantage. And the Mbessa was able to not only keep units on board, but had a pretty healthy hand throughout most of its game, a healthy rune economy in both of its games, and it was able to go tit for tat and throw a cherry on top.
Yeah. And I think that as we get, this is the first week that we're really getting into the Vendetta meta. That's kind of fun to say. But the further we get in, I think we're going to see some new champions kind of rise to the top, maybe fall as we get more into it. I'm kind of excited to see what blue orange Jace does with like a fully devoted gear deck.
Some wild things.
Yeah, talk
Gear
about
Jace
Swain,
does
right?
have an infinite.
Yeah, right. Like I'm kind of excited to see where some of these decks go as people kind of innovate. One of the things that I think Riftbound is really set up to do well right now is they have quite a bit of time between releases, which really give the pilots of decks time to like explore these archetypes. So hopefully they kind of keep that pace. I saw a post the other day that kind of made me chuckle where a Riftbound player had posted on Twitter, is 4 sets a year normal? Like, is this too much? And as a Magic player, I kind of just had to laugh with the sheer amount of sets. I show up to my pre-release and I can order the next set for my boxes. And there's a lot of sets in Magic these days, so kind of having the time to figure out a meta in Riftbound is going to be enjoyable.
Oh, 100%. Every set's going to come out with something new, so there's never a chance for a legend to make its day. Like Leona looks very strong right now. You just have a little bit more tools to work with. Lux has been coming out very well with its infinite and being consistent. So there's always those decks, like you said, it has a very healthy meta and new cards that you can do.
And with rotation in 2028, we have quite a bit of time to keep building, but thank you guys for joining the stream. Hopefully we'll see you next week for the Nerd Rage Gaming, 6:30.
6:30.
Next week at 6:30. That's when we
All right, next week at 6:30, and hopefully me and Panda will be back again.
Yeah, we'll have some Soapy Panda action, and we'll be ready for you. See you next week.
All right, see you next week.